revisiting that one aspect that empowered Roman Empire to achieve everything that it did. That one aspect that was most instrumental in making this empire such a roaring success and surviving centuries. Not many civilizations in history have survived for as long as the Roman civilization did. And that was that one aspect. It's a well documented fact that Roman civilization is among the most important civilizations in the history of mankind. The contributions of the Roman Empire to the development of humans, to the development of our species, is unparalleled. They produced such advances in technology, culture, and most importantly architecture. Or to be specific, they invented or contributed in the improvement of inventions like concrete, newspapers, welfare, bound books, roads and highways. That is one of their biggest contributions. In France and Italy, if there are certain places, if you are driving over some highways or walking on some roads beneath those modern structures, modern highways, there still are the highways that were built by the Roman Empire. They're still standing. Structures that were built more than 2000 years ago. It's a surreal feeling when you are there, and if you're aware of the history of those places and the relics that are still standing strongly beneath your feet. That's how competent the civil engineers of that empire were. But this video is not exactly about revisiting the contributions of Roman Empire, but it's about revisiting or going back in time a little and revisiting that one aspect that empowered Roman Empire to achieve everything that it did. That one aspect that was most instrumental in making this empire such a roaring success and surviving centuries. Not many civilizations in history have survived for as long as the Roman civilization did. And that was that one aspect: agriculture and farming. The sheer dependence of the Roman civilization on farming can be gauged from the fact that this civilization, this empire, was almost exclusively an agricultural economy throughout. So farming had to support cities, it had to support the infrastructure, it had to support the food requirements in cities. The cities were subsidized. Roman Empire is credited with being responsible for the revival of the concept of towns, cities, urbanization. But it was farming that had to support all of that. But even more than urbanization, there was something even more important that farming was supporting, that this agricultural economy was supporting, and that was that it was paying for the upkeep of an enlarged army and civil service. And it was necessary, it was important, it was the most important thing to invest in larger armies, because more and more enemies were emerging in the form of let's say German confederations or other competing empires. We have the luxury of living in this modern world, and for us, war is what is happening in Syria or in other parts of Middle East. Sometimes there are terrorist attacks happening, and there are India, Pakistan, there is war happening, but we do not know the meaning of war like people in medieval or ancient history did. War was a way of life for them, right? Anyways, going back to the Roman Empire. Now, how do you maintain all of that? How do you get your farming, your agriculture to support all of that? the rulers, in order to make sure that the produce from farming or the output from farming was paying for the upkeep of army or the infrastructure in cities, they started heavily taxing the landlords. So much so that these landlords started to abandon their lands to evade taxes. Now, who do you tax if there is no taxpayer? They all ran away, or most of them ran away. The direct result was the value of the Roman currency started to decline. Further, there was unimaginable levels of inflation. So what was the solution that was proposed, or what was the solution that was acted upon to prevent all of this from happening? The solution was to save the Roman Empire by freezing the population in place, to turn the empire into one giant prison. People were not allowed to move out, go out. It was a prison. It was literally a prison. And that's when, as a proverbial escapism, people started to resort to religion. Not that religion did not exist before that in the Roman Empire, but the sheer scale of how people started to adopt it went up several times over. This was not the be all end all of the civilization. There were other rulers, very huge rulers that came after that. Constantinople was one of them, but the seeds were sown. Subscribe to Legend Martini for your daily dose of lifestyle, movies, fashion, career, health and wellness, and everything else under the sun. Don't forget to hit the bell icon.